that really became the genesis of the idea was, what if we collected all this data and turned it into really easy to understand infographic based profiles.
Welcome everyone to UpTech Report, our Apply Tech series. UpTech Report is sponsored by TerraLeap. Learn how to leverage the power of video at terraleap.io. My guest today, very excited, is joined by Chris Bullock, who's based in Boston, CEO of ClearGov. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thanks, Colin.
So your product is a financial management and transparency software for local government. So for those out there, if you're maybe a mayor on the town council or anyone involved in finances in a local city or town, or maybe you think your local government should be more transparent, this might be an intriguing platform for you. Chris, I was looking at your site and it said your budget is in order, your financial data is easy to understand, and your community trusts government. Welcome to ClearGov. It almost sounds like a futuristic, oh, I want that type of feeling that you stated out. Curious, what was the problem you set out to solve with ClearGov, and how has that changed over time?
Well, I've somehow made a career for myself in data analytics and transparency. And the genesis of ClearGov, I think, came from I think a question that a lot of people have, just where are my property taxes, or just where are my taxes going in general, right? And being the data nerd that I am, I actually started researching it in my town. I went to my town's website, and particularly I was interested in an initiative that the town was trying to pass to build a new school, and they had to take on about $40 million in debt. And my son would be going to that school, and the article kept on failing, so the town kept on voting it down. And so I was curious, how much debt does our town really have? Is this a big problem? I went on my town's website, and it turns out they were being transparent. They had a 350-page annual report on there in a PDF form, and about 250 pages deep, there were financials there. They were very confusing. There was a lot of terminology I didn't get, transfers between funds, and but I could see that there was about $70 million in debt in the town. And then my next question was, well, is that a lot or is that a little? If most towns have $5 million in debt, then that's a bad thing. If most towns have $500 million, then that's not so bad. And so I started going down this path of looking at other cities in the area and creating the spreadsheet. My wife thought I was crazy, but I eventually found that all the towns in Massachusetts every year had to submit their finances to the Department of Revenue. And in a deep, dark corner of the Department of Revenue's website, there was this lonely Excel file that had all of their finances for every single town on there. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I'm wondering if other towns do this. And the more and more research I did, I found that many states are now opening their finances and making this data available. And really, it was an initiative started in the Obama era where they started making the federal government more transparent, and many states followed through. But it felt like they were just taking this data and throwing it over the wall and saying, you go do with it whatever you want. And no one was doing anything with it. So that really became the genesis of the idea was, what if we collected all this data and turned it into really easy to understand infographic-based profiles, where any resident could go onto our site, type in the name of their city or town, and not only see where the money is coming from and where it's going to, but put that in context of other cities. So we break down all the spending and all the taxes and revenues on a per capita basis, and then identify similar communities based upon population, home values, commercialization metrics, things like that. So you can find similar communities and then compare those metrics. So when we launched the site, I could actually see that my town had 29% less debt on a per capita basis than similar communities in the area. And I thought, that's just, really interesting. And that really kind of brought the conversation home to me. So we went out there and, fast forward, 5 or so years later, we've now built the world's largest municipal financial database, and we have profiles on, I think, maybe over 45,000 communities, and including school districts across the country now. It's been really quite a success.
So in 2015, you began, was that correct?
Yeah, started the company in 2015, just as myself, and brought on a co-founder in 2017, and raised some venture capital very shortly after that, and we were off to the races.
I'm excited in the second part of the interview where we'll be diving deep for those who want to hear that more of Chris's story and the founding journey. Stick around for part two of the interview. But to give a taste, when you started 5 years ago, if you could know one thing 5 years ago that you know now, what would that one thing be?
Wow. Um, I really set out, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to build a company on my own was to be surrounded by people that I really respect and loved working with. In many respects, you work with the people you work with. You spend almost more time than with your family, and so it's really important to me to be surrounded by very smart, passionate, and compassionate people. I say that all the time, and the first um, founding of the company, it was just me for a while, and eventually started bringing on a few people to help out with things like data onboarding and obviously coding and things like that. But one thing I really learned is it's really, really important to have that team and to build out that team. And bringing on my co-founder Brian Burdick was a big turning point in the company. People just are really, really important. I think everyone says that all the time, but it's really true. You've got to have the right people in place to really make the company hum, because without that, you're standing on a weak foundation.
I'm excited to hear more of that when we dive into that second part of our interview. Coming back to the platform itself, the technology, how has that changed and where is it today? What can you share how it's maybe different from other offerings and solutions that exist?
Yeah, so I mean, we have evolved as a company from just a financial transparency platform as we've learned that that towns not only started sending us their budget, they wanted to share their forward-looking budget. We learned that the way they were building their budget and managing these finances internally was terribly outdated and antiquated. They were really using spreadsheets and Word documents and email, and in the modern era of cloud computing, that's just outmoded. And so we've really moved towards what we call a full budget cycle management platform, where we help them build their budget and manage their finances from the beginning of their budget cycle, where they're doing some long range capital planning, and then into their operational budget, and then communicating that budget. So the transparency aspect of it becomes kind of that final piece of the budget cycle, which is kind of a new way of looking at things. It's not just kind of managing your budget and building your budget internally. It's involving the stakeholders, and I think that's incredibly important in today's day and age with the pandemic, where public meetings are no longer public. How do you get the public involved, and how do you get that feedback and build trust and support? So I would say that, I think one of our differentiators is this real kind of end-to-end platform that really helps local governments build and manage their budget and their finances from start to finish in a really modern cloud-based platform.
It sounds like you setting out to solve the idea of transparency, you uncovered kind of a deeper issue of overall management of finances and the full life cycle. And that's kind of where you've now invested in. Did I capture that correctly?
Yeah, we've definitely
This
expanded the platform.
this solution, you're working a lot with mayors and council town managers and other individuals. If you had a word of wisdom for those individuals of just having dealt with them over the last several years, it could be around particularly maybe what your product does, but even broader, just dealing with them. A word of wisdom, anything comes to mind?
A word of wisdom for people dealing with, look, I think there's a lot of mistrust in government, right? I just think that people have this view of government leaders as wasting our money, not knowing what they're doing, and just big, bureaucratic. But as I've met now with thousands of local government leaders, I mean, these are very smart, passionate, selfless people that are trying to do good, trying to impact their community positively. And so, I think once you get in front of these folks, you gain a whole new light that they're just like us, and it's not just this big kind of nefarious thing out there. That these are real smart, passionate people, and respect that.
Your business model, those who want to be able to take advantage of it, how does it work? Is it based on the size of the government, the number of seats? How does it work?
Sure. So we try to keep our pricing simple. We believe in simplicity in a lot of aspects of our business, but we charge an annual license fee, a subscription fee for our software based upon the different products. So we've got 3, 4, 5 different products now, and they would pay an annual subscription fee and a one-time setup fee to onboard their data, get everyone in the system trained, and then we also have a sliding scale based upon the size of the community. We don't charge on a population basis. We actually charge on the size of their budget. You could have 2 towns that have the same number of people, but due to property taxes, you could have very, very different budgets. I'll just say that. So we base the annual subscription fee based upon the size of the city's budget.
That whole onboarding process, I imagine if they have all these financials all over the place, trying to get that and move to a whole new system, that can be a roadblock for many. How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, so most communities out there now have an ERP accounting platform, and a lot of these platforms are still on premises, so they're not cloud-based. A lot of these companies are transitioning to the cloud, but it's slow. I mean, these are big, deeply rooted platforms, and so the advantage of our platform is it's fully cloud-based, and we can really sit on top of this ERP platform. We don't need them to change anything. They can kind of plug right into our system and take advantage of our budget cycle management platform right on top of their ERP platform. So the way that we connect is actually quite simple. We just ask them to export all the raw data from their accounting system into an Excel spreadsheet, and we've built a platform, a machine learning AI-based platform that can ingest their data very, very quickly. And then display it on our platform. So we've spent a lot of time and a number of years building that data ingestion system, and it's quite unique.
That probably speeds up your time and reduces the overall cost for you and the end client for being able to get in using that machine learning.
Yeah, it's critical to scale. Really, we use machine learning to match or standardize, I'll say, the client's data, because every city has their own accounting system and their own accounting structure. So none of them, and maybe a few states have a bit more standardization than not, but most states and cities within those states, from one city, they're not categorizing the data the same way. So it makes it very difficult to compare them from one city to the next. So what we're doing is really doing that standardization to make comparisons much easier as well.
What are you most excited about as far as a feature you just launched or a benefit that just is coming together that you want people to know about?
Yeah, no, we're about to launch a full new capital planning solution, so we're real excited about that. Really what that means is right now at the beginning of every budget cycle, a community needs to get a better understanding of what are their big expenses for the next 5 or 10 years, right? They may need to spend $1 million on a new fire engine. How are they going to finance that? So the communities really need to better understand what are those expenses coming up in the next 5, 10 years. And so they're doing a lot of that planning right now through Excel spreadsheets and just email and conversations. So we built a full platform to to help automate that, collect that data, and then share that with the community, which is the other product that we actually just launched earlier this year is called Digital Budget Book Platform, where I described earlier in the interview where most cities put out an annual report that is as a printed document, and now they've converted it to PDF, but they're generally hundreds of pages long, and it takes hundreds of hours to build those budget books. So recently we also launched a platform that instead of making a printed budget book with a single click of a button, actually creates a website around your budget and allows people to peruse the budget in a much more interactive form. And for the finance teams, it helps them build their budget book in a fraction of the time. So I'd say those are our two most exciting products that we've been focused on lately.
That latter one is nice because there's no extra time for them to be able to get it external for their folks to be able to view. It's just automatically created onto this website. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so they can build their budget in our system. Right. And so we have all their data there. And so with the single click of a button, it creates, for instance, a page for every one of their departments and all the graphs of all their spending, any revenues they're bringing in, all different angles to visualize. So this is stuff that they would normally have to build in Excel. And it not only takes them a lot of time to build that, but once they've built it in a Word document, later on, if they have they make a change to their budget, they need to go through that document and find every chart, every table, every place that needs to be updated. And sometimes it's just, a percentage in a paragraph. They said, hey, our spending in the police department increased by 3.2%. Well, if they change that in the budget, they need to find that instance in the paragraph that changed. And so our software actually connects that paragraph and those charts to the data so that when they change the data, it changes the whole document.
How often does that happen where some changes happen throughout the year after they set the budget?
It happens often. Generally they're presenting their budget in several different forms. One would be a proposed form. And then once they propose it, there may be some changes before it reaches kind of an adopted version. And then even after it's adopted, they'll make some changes and have an amended version and sometimes multiple amendments.
That's a lot of time saved, ideally. Yay, technology.
Yes. A lot of time. We've literally had clients say to us, I'm buying this software so I can spend more time with my family. It's to that degree that they spend hundreds and if not thousands of hours on these documents sometimes. So.
Wow, it's nice that you can have that effect. Allow these folks to spend more time with their families.
Yeah, no, it was pretty neat.
Looking forward and beyond then, on the roadmap, what can you share? Where are you going to want to be in 5 years from now and what you're working towards?
So it's a tricky question, right? We definitely have a broader strategy in mind. I guess maybe I'll keep that a little bit private for competitive reasons, but I will say that, look, we are really, really maniacally focused on our clients' needs. And I think that is a real key to success. I've heard even Jeff Bezos at Amazon, one of their main keys to success is just listening to their clients and focus on saving clients, meeting their needs. And so I spend an enormous amount of time actually meeting with clients and meeting with prospects, talking to them, listening to them. And frankly, the clients and prospective clients, they give us our best ideas. Bar none. We're constantly getting great ideas for them, and just then it's just a decision of which path do we follow. That's the strategic end of it. So I think if we just stay focused on building great software that solves our clients' problems and building that great team to support that, the next 5 years, we'll have a great company.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your journey that you're on, the insights that you have gathered, and I'm excited to see where you guys go next. For those that want to learn more, you can go to cleargov.com and you can get a demo, it looks like. That's probably the first good step. Is that the best step for them to take?
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to give anybody a walkthrough of it, especially if you're a local government.
Awesome. And definitely stay around for part 2 of our interview, where we're going to hear more about Chris's story and the founding of ClearGov. Thanks again for joining us on Applied Tech. We'll see you guys next time. Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.